Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Satisfactory. I'm AxionEvolved, and today we're gonna be, kind of building on this beautiful train system that we started testing out in the last episode. And when it really comes down to it, like these trains need somewhere to put all the stuff they're gonna eventually be transporting, right? So today I kind of want to work on that because while this is all fine and dandy, I can't really finalize the train setup until the trains have, like I said, somewhere to put all this stuff, right? So that's the idea. That's the goal. At least the start of somewhere of a storage room for all these trains. So with that out of the way, let's hop right into this. And of course, everything starts here at the hub, right? So this hub area is going to sort of serve as kind of like the headquarters, right? Like the main base. We have quick access to the power plant. We can see the starter factories and our other power plant over there. So I think it's only natural to kind of make this function as somewhere where we can kind of have a headquarters, right? And to help me with this, I've been doing something that I should have been doing the whole time. And I've been making some blueprints, right? And I have one that I kind of am going to use sporadically throughout the whole main base. And I'll just show you guys. It's a cool little gate blueprint that I've been working on, right? And this is nothing revolutionary. Let me just tell you that, right? There's plenty of other YouTubers who have made something similar. So I just made my own version, right? And it's really just a couple automated gates. I think there's 3 of them. Yeah, you can see 3 automated gates. And I like the way it looks and feels. And I think I'm going to have this serve as kind of like the primary airlock type doors for within the main base, right? So here, we kind of have our hub balcony. And it kind of remains to be seen what we're going to do out here. But I think it's going to look really cool to have these doors here. And this is very, very simple to make, right? So it's just, like I mentioned, the 3 automated gates here. I guess technically 6 because we have the other side. This is just a rotated concrete pillar. Kind of like that. We, of course, have some signs and some beams, right? So I think the idea here, and there's some... I've been toying around with some ideas, right? Let me do this, right? So I want to do something similar to this, right? Where I'm going to go maybe across like that. And I just really like this design. So I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to put some inverted ramps there and there, right? So that'll kind of be like the portal, or at least kind of the gist of the portal, right? Something like that. And we'll, incorporate more beams, maybe some more lights, because there is, full disclosure, I'm playing on a 4080, and I kind of want to build this in a way where at some point I can really, if we look here, I'm playing on high just because it's, I'm kind of aiming for frames, but I could totally crank it up to ultra and turn on, let's see, turn on global illumination, all that. So I kind of want to build in a way where at some point, maybe when I do a walkthrough or something, I can crank those settings and we can kind of see what it looks like with the global illumination on. So that's kind of the idea there, right? So this area, or this square section, is going to be, kind of undecided, right? There's a few things I need to create at the end, right? I need to have somewhere that I can kind of have some storage stuff, right? And I think over here on the rest of this floor, it's going to be kind of like a dedicated storage area, right? So, of course, we're going to have trains coming in down below. The floor directly below, I want that to be a dedicated logistics floor. And mostly for sorting items, right? So, you'll kind of see what I mean by that in future episodes. We're not going to be able to get to that today, but definitely save that. The rest of the floors are going to be dedicated to, trains coming in and moving items, but also some production, right? So some of the production we have over there, some of the production we have over here, namely computers, heavy modular frame, stuff that we want to have in storage, that's all going to happen over there. Plastic and rubber, we're probably going to end up moving that stuff over. Maybe not into these floors specifically, but plastic and rubber I want over here as well, right? So, we may end up using some of the other floors for that. I don't know. But definitely doing that. And then one of the things I kind of want to make sure that I accomplish, right? We butt right up to this pink forest. Red forest, pink forest. I think this is the pink forest. The map doesn't like give a biome name, right? So I don't really know. But, you know, because we butt right up into it, I want the base to kind of blend into the environment, right? Like if I'm looking over here, there's like a nice kind of shelf here that I'd love to kind of be a flow point in and out for, you know, foot traffic or whatever, right? Obviously, we have some hazards that we're going to have to deal with, but that's all in due time. And then, of course, we also have plenty of spicy rocks that we're eventually going to need to figure out how to get rid of. And that's probably going to have to do... I'm going to have to make, like, filters and stuff like that so we can kind of just eventually get rid of that, right? Because we're eventually also going to need to use that for power, so it'd be kind of nice to get the mitigation equipment all set up for that too, right? So as far as design goes, though, I want to take a lot of inspiration from this base here. You know, this was a lot of kind of honing and figuring out what I like. And one of the things I like is this change of depth I have with the, you know, like the windows being in the middle of the foundation spaces and the walls kind of giving like that illusion of depth and kind of like some of these angles and all that. So I want to do something similar over here. You know, there's going to be windows, there's going to be inset stuff, and it's all just going to kind of work out, right? So I have some ideas for what I'm going to do over here. So let me go ahead and kind of get that stuff going. And as promised, I kind of leaned into the design over there, and I have this so far, right? This is, you know, it's the V1. It may or may not stay, but this is kind of the vibe that I'm going with. I want to minimize the amount of 90-degree corners, even though, you know, I have some. So I kind of slope the roof a little bit. But let's hop inside, and you can kind of see, like, what I had in mind for this kind of gate design, right? And, you know, like I mentioned, global illumination, 4080, blah, blah, blah. These are the reasons that I wanted to kind of do it, right? I want to make this lighting look really cool, so that when I do, like, eventually just pop those on for, like, a walkthrough, it looks nice, right? So I'm trying to incorporate lighting, and this is, you know, kind of the color that I've used over here. And, well, not the green color over there, but, you know, I've used this blue color in a lot of different places in this base. And that's kind of just the theme color that we're going with, right? So if we hop on in, you'll notice I've kind of just been messing around with the roof kind of design. And yeah, it's a little asymmetrical, but I'm okay with that, right? And I have these, you know, these pillars here. I think they look kind of cool from the outside. Yeah, you know, it's just kind of like a feature wall type thing. Here's something that I'm messing around with. This is not final. I'm just kind of, you know, trying to see how can I incorporate the outside here. In fact, let's make this a little safer for ourselves. You know, how can I incorporate nature with the base, right? Because I want them to kind of almost feel like they meld together. And yeah, so my idea was, you know, put some balconies, put some organic kind of walkways in and out, and we'll kind of go from there, right? So that's the idea with this stuff, right? And you know, I've also been thinking, and I'm 100% drawing inspiration from Kibitz in this one, but he did something where, you know, he had an augmenter just like in the base as like a showcase. And, you know, this it fulfills a couple purposes. Number one, I think it's a cool like centerpiece for a base design, right? I think that's super cool. So I'm gonna figure out how to put this in here in a way that kind of makes sense, right? Number two, this thing also gives you 500 power, just off rip, no nothing, 500 power, right? 500 megawatts, just off the get go, right? So it'll be kind of nice to have that and integrate it into, use that just for kind of temporary power, and then eventually connect it to the larger power grid and have it kind of boosting all that, right? So there's a couple things I want to do in here, right? I had mentioned before about having like a wall that kind of details all the trains. And if you'll notice over here, I've been trying to not only figure out the order of the train cars, but what they're carrying, right? So I'm going to have a train wall. And I think the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to have a wall here. This area right around here, there's going to be a wall. So this will kind of be a big room. This will be a storage room. Somewhere over on this wall, because I'm going to have an opening, maybe somewhere over on this side. But there's going to be kind of a big wall on this side. So what I want to do is, use signs and things like that to kind of just make like a master legend of all the trains and where they're going. I don't have a really good way of showing that just yet, but don't worry, I'll work on it, right? And then one of the last things I've been trying to figure out is how am I going to connect all these levels? And so I built this thing. Like a stair kind of tunnel. And, I haven't gone all the way down, but I've gone a couple floors. But this just makes it easy to get up and down between the levels. And let me tell you, having this right here, it's not, unfortunately, like the height I chose to use isn't just like perfectly centered, so I can like constantly be going down or up. But having these little kind of these horizontal sections just made the spacing end up working out. So that's eventually going to go all the way down to the bottom, and it's just like another feature of the base, right? So yeah, this is what we're going with. I'll probably maybe end up doing some lighting in here too, and that's kind of like another thing I want to think about, right? I want some kind of power control room. I want maybe a lighting control room, for different parts of the base so they can have different lighting. I want all of that in here somewhere, and maybe it'll be right here. I want somewhere, you saw I put like a MAM and an awesome shop out here. Maybe that's something, we can kind of put those elsewhere as well. I don't want to have to go to one spot to do everything, but I want to have natural feeling areas kind of everywhere, right? So I'm going to build this out a little bit more, and we'll kind of go from there. Maybe I'll put some lighting, kind of finish this off. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, so as I was kind of tinkering around, I threw some lights in here. I'm trying to kind of finalize the design a little bit. The lights are okay. We'll kind of see. Again, global illumination, right? So I want to incorporate the lights to kind of see how it feels. And, I'm using a mod called Sky UI where I can adjust the time of day, right? So we can kind of see how it all lights up at night. And I think this will look even better with global illumination, right? So no worries with all that. Let me put it back to daytime so it's just better to film with, right? But if you're interested, Sky UI is the mod. Pretty nice. But then I've also been working on this wall right here. And not only just the wall, but some cool looking kind of signs that are going to kind of go above the areas here. And you'll notice I'm using the same gate design like I had mentioned. And I kind of wanted to get like this sweeping staircase look. And I think I did a pretty good job with that. I'm pretty happy with how this looks. But over here is where I was thinking about putting this train wall, right? And, it'll be like simple but complex, right? At first, what I'm going to do, like, let's say I'll just put, I don't know, like this here. And this, we'll say this is what? Starter 1 out, right? And then below it, I would have like two meter signs, where I could, well, I don't want that there. But, do something like this, right? Something like this where I can put each item, right? So starter 1, like this would be rotors. Well, I don't know if I can spell right. Rotors. Rotor. Just have the icon of what it is and how much per minute we're getting, right? So this way I can at a glance figure out like what is going where. Now, I may end up changing this because I think for now, just putting what each train coming in is, right? So this would actually, I think for now, we do starter 1 in. So we know kind of like what each train is bringing us. But, and I'm specifically looking at these starter stations, right? You could have a scenario where, like, hold on, let me rewind here. each of these trains is going to need a train station here in the main base to offload. And for me, philosophically, there's a couple different ways to handle that. Number one, you have, a dedicated station for each one of these items that's coming in. Each train has its own dedicated station for each item. That's perfectly valid. What's the downside of that in our situation? That's a space requirement that we don't necessarily have, right? So what am I thinking, right? Now, these trains, well, I can't show them, right? But these trains, this one and this one, they're not bringing anywhere close to a full belt's worth of items, right? What did we do last time? What can we build now? Mark V belts. Not a lot. We're not making aluminum, right? We're only making, we only have what we've found in the world, right? So my idea, and I haven't kind of built this out yet, but what if we do, say we have starter one out, and then up here I have, here, I'm gonna do a little bit of magic real quick. What if I had starter 2 out here, right? But then what if in my diagram I have just starter in? And what if I used, let's say, wall outlets? Something like that. And then I use like a Mark II. And what if I show that these trains are going into one station? One station with enough, one train station with enough freight cars or freight unloading stations to handle, in this case, in starter 2 has 8 cars, starter 1 has 6 cars or 7 cars. What if I have them all drop off at the same station, and then as I bring it up, then I sort, right? If I use this magic real quick to illustrate, what if I go down here, where we have some of our rail, but the cars are going to be coming in like down here, like I'm already kind of messing around and trying to place some of these stations, and I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to fit all this stuff, right? How am I going to get 2 more stations in here? Because we need a steel one and we need another starter one. So I thought, well, what if these guys, because eventually, like, the trains are going to come in right there. They're going to circle up into here. They're going to come in. And the idea was that they'll just kind of go this way and out and around and connect back up. But if I'm only doing 2 stations, well, maybe I move this whole thing over here. Just make it a little bit more natural, a little bit more in line with where we're going to need to go. But then, I had mentioned before that I'm going to have a sorting floor on the 2nd floor. Well, then this stuff can just go up regardless. It can sushi belt. It can sushi belt and merge up on a faster line. And then we can use smart splitters to take off each item and go where we need to go. What are the advantages of that, right? I don't anticipate ever making an item over here that would fill up even a 480 line. Like, I'm not going to be making, maybe concrete, maybe. But concrete can be its own, we can make exceptions for things, for exceptional things, right? So maybe I just have everything go up, and I think, we have 780 belts right now, but eventually we can get 1200 belts. You know what I mean? So we can use 1200 belts to then smart splitter off. And in case this isn't, making sense, we can just kind of throw a belt down, right? Okay, we can throw a belt down. Okay, we're gonna go this way. So we can have just a sushi belt, and then we take our smart splitter and we go, okay, anything goes that way. Rotors, you go out this way. And then in the logistics level, the rotors will just come off and go into the logistics box. Easy. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it'll just work. And then eventually we'll have, we can do a couple things, right? Like we can have that eventually, if we have like a, and again, this is all just ideas, right? And then eventually at the end, we can just have it like merge back in, we can have it go right in, right? So it goes to the end of the line and then it loops back around and it can kind of just keep doing that over and over and over. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. And then we could do something like this, like, okay, rotors. So we want any to go this way because I don't think you can. Oh, even this, right? Any undefined. So in my mind, and I think we could test this if we wanted to. This configuration, I think if I were to put a box down of rotors, let's see. I didn't anticipate doing this, but I'm like curious now. Like, I think if I do this, and then I do this, I think if I put a bunch of rotors in here, let's see. I'm going to have a bunch of rotors on me. 100 will be fine. I don't think 100 will fill up this belt. Let's see what happens. Because now I'm curious, right? So it should fill that out, yes, and then it overflows. That's what I'm talking about right here. You see? It's eventually going to just overflow, but it's not going to continue them down. So what I can do is have a return line that gets back into the system. Then what can happen is maybe this is... this is a merger, right? But then we'd have like, I don't know, we could have like a smart splitter right here or a smart splitter right here for each one. It's just, there's just a bunch of ways that we can continue this stuff down, right? So like, obviously we would need to, like in this scenario, we could have this part maybe go into, maybe we don't even need a return line, right? Maybe we don't do this, but we would have this go into like an awesome sink. So that this way, all of these rotors would go into an awesome sink, and then anything else. So because we don't want this line to stop, but then we could also make this a Mark V, and then it's going 7, 8. It's going faster, and these are going slower. That's the idea, right? So I know this is just like a very complicated way of explaining the plan, and honestly, it's so complicated that I don't even have the plan fully fleshed out yet. This is just like what's going in my head, right? So anyway, the keen-eyed among you might have noticed that I had some stuff behind this door, but it's not quite in a state that I want to show it to you yet. But luckily for you, I'm just going to boop it right in, and then we'll head over there and take a look. Okay, now you may be wondering why we're back out here at the hub. Well, as you can see, I've done more work inside. I did more than just the storage stuff. But let me show you and kind of give you some vibes, okay? So we're going to come in, and immediately we're greeted by a hallway, right? And I'll show you what's in there in a second. But if we go over here, this thing right here takes up quite a bit of this floor space. But you'll notice I have like this little area over here. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, this might be a good power control room area, right? So maybe I'll put another like door right here at the end of the hall and make this a power control room. I don't know. But I'm also experimenting with using these signs to kind of tell you like what's what. Like, well, I mean, I don't know what's in there, but this is the hub. We have this bigger storage sign, which is kind of cool. So let's go take a look. Let's see what's in there. And it's a hole in the ground. So I've actually, I've been working on some blueprints, right? And I think they're up here. Did I leave them up here? Yeah. Okay. So here's the blueprint that this is not the first iteration, and that's the reason why I didn't show it to you in the last clip, because I wanted to refine it. But this is going to be kind of the storage room design that we go with, right? And it's pretty simple, It's an industrial storage container, dimensional depot at the bottom. We've got a walkway, and crucially, we have a belt here that's going to show the item that's coming up to it. So, you know, when it's full, it'll just be stopped. When it's not full, you'll see some movement. I had thought about maybe filling this up elsewhere and then just having like a loop of some kind. I don't know. We'll see. Right? We'll see. But yeah, I thought this kind of cool. And then you got a walkway and a sign on there with some lights and stuff. And again, I'm leaning into the light, the global illumination. And I'll probably try to do it. I'll give you guys a little showcase. You know, there's a ton of, I've been doing research. There's a ton of little settings for global illumination that you'd have to tweak. So it may not look like cinematic, but I think it'll still look pretty cool. But yeah, I really like this design. The idea is that the input's going to come, you know, this part will be appearing to hang from the ceiling. I'll probably put some support in there once it's built. But, you know, if we go down here, that's kind of going to sit right here, the storage. And then down here, again, the logistics level is where you'll see the dimensional depots and stuff like that, right? So, yeah, it's pretty simple. The items are going to come up. They're going to go into the back there. And then in the front, there's just another little output that goes down into the dimensional depot. Very, very straightforward. There might be scenarios where there's some items I want to go into multiple dimensional depots, and we'll kind of get there. So I think to end this episode off, I'm going to build out this a little bit, do some decor, and then kind of give you guys the tour. So let's do that real quick. All right. It's dark out, but I did this for a reason. Because I've turned on global illumination, and I kind of want to show you guys what it looks like and kind of where I'm trying to build this. Maybe someday, you know, there's a mod out there that kind of shows you that you can do like cinematics and stuff. Maybe one day I'll do like a virtual tour with global illumination on and just settings cranked to the max. But you can kind of see, like, even here, you know, if I look up here, you can kind of see particles, right? You see kind of like the light reflections, right? I don't know if there's ways to kind of mess with that. If any of you guys have tips for ways to make global illumination kind of look good, you can kind of see that right here, you know. So just keep that in mind, right? That's just an artifact of global illumination, right? But this is 1440p ultra settings, global illumination turn on. In fact, let me just show you. Right, if we go to video, all ultra settings, global illumination on high, which is the highest it goes, and moody bright setting. Right, so let's kind of take a look, and you know, this is obviously the first example. Here, I'll turn this off. Of kind of, you can kind of see up here some of the artifacting, but like look at the colors. You know, I think it like illuminates everything really nicely, right? So if we go in, kind of the same thing here. I've used coated concrete in here, which I think looks really cool. It gives you some reflections. Pretty dark still, right? I can, you know. And here you can kind of see the light will kind of turn on as we get closer. As we kind of get close to kind of do that. We've got our signs over here that I'm kind of just, you know, place holding. And then let's take a look in here. And this is the storage room kind of built out. Pretty, I love the vibe here. I'm considering using more lights. Maybe like some signs on the ceiling. But yeah, this is the idea here. It's not hooked up to anything. It's just kind of built out. But this is such the vibe that I wanted to go with. You know? I just think this looks and feels super, super cool. I kind of want it to feel like futuristic. And then, of course, we've got the end here. But man, you know, I got black floors. This is just the vibe. You know, this is what I want to go with. And you can kind of see how the global illumination kind of works, right? So I don't know. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. These doors are eventually going to lead somewhere. They don't lead anywhere now. But yeah, let me revert the settings to normal, and I'll kind of give you guys a little bit more detail and a little bit better lighting. And here's everything back in the daytime. No global illumination on, right? And let's look in here, right? So in here, I've built the alien power augmenter. I think it looks pretty cool. I'm debating on what to do in the walls here, because I feel like we need some kind of decoration in here, but I've kind of modified the roof to accept the height of this thing. And yeah, so I don't know, that's just what's in this room if you were curious. But yeah, so we'll go back into the storage here. And here's what it looks like with kind of daylight turned on. I still think it looks really cool. You know, kind of like a grand entrance. I thought about doing something in the middle here. You know, It's Bits has done something I think is really cool in one of his factories, where you take like a pillar, and then you're able to like put the spheres down on it or something. I want to split this. Yeah, I just went on the floor. But there's a way to like put it on this. So I'm going to have to figure that out. So I thought that could look kind of cool. I don't know if we have enough Mercer spheres. You'll notice I only have 5 total left. So we'll have to go hunting. But yeah, this is the idea for the storage room. I think it's going to look super, super cool. Especially when it's all said and done. These are, I'll just be honest, they're just kind of fake walls. But they show you kind of what's going on around everything. It's like a wall within a wall, you know? It's a room within a room. This will all be walled off eventually, so you won't ever see it. Over here, I'm thinking about making, you know, like a walkway or something. I don't know. The whole point is to give myself options. And then lastly, we're going to need to... This doesn't actually go anywhere. Like, I'll show you guys how the hot dog is made, right? This is just a backdoor area. I may end up doing something in this room too. You know, maybe like, you see I tore this thing down. Maybe make like an exit out there or something. But I don't know. It's all still up in the air. So let's fly a little bit, because I think this can only be really viewed well from a distance. And yeah, and it's kind of the design I've ended up going with. I'll be honest with you guys. I really like this, and it's been completely random. This design, completely random. I'll show you how I did it. I will show you. You know, we just zoop out. I just zoop a bunch of these out until I just had like a blank wall here. And then I literally just kind of like drew designs or whatever, right? Got rid of it. You know, maybe I want to incorporate this up here or something. You know, kind of just like make them touch. And then I'm just taking different ramps on zoop mode. Yeah, and I'm literally like doing this. Anywhere there's kind of like a box, I'm just putting a ramp in. You know? And then I'm you know, doing the opposite, right? Like, let's zoop this. Let's zoop this. You know, let's zoop this. Like, literally just that, right? Like, maybe this doesn't look good. So let's put one in here. This we can kind of change. Let's see. So I want to do like this, right? Let's do something like that. And I'll do like an opposite one here. And like maybe we'll turn this one into just a regular one. So like literally just that, right? Just randomly, and then I'm taking these walls, putting them in zoop, and I'm just zooping them across. And then we have the windows everywhere. You know? And I think it ends up looking like really good. Like, look at that. And it's so easy to do. I mean, it almost feels like not right with how easy it is, you know? So, I mean, this is just to kind of show you, and this doesn't look bad. I mean, I don't think. You know, you can mess around with some stuff more if you wanted to. And that's kind of the beauty of it also, is it's like, it's completely up to you what you want to do with it. You know, you can make sharp lines where you want sharp lines. You can get rid of sharp lines. You know, like maybe I want to put that there. Maybe I want this to kind of be more fluid. You know, and you can just kind of mess with it. And I think it ends up looking like really good. And there's like no pattern to it, which is what I was really going for, right? So that's kind of the idea for at least this upper level, you know? And yeah, and you can see kind of all the stuff here. I don't even know if I'm going to need more dimensional depots than this. This is a lot of items. This is like, what? This is 40 dimensional depots. I don't even know if there's 40 items in the game that we're going to want to use. But the idea is now, you know, you just come down to wherever. Boom. This is going to be whatever item. And you can just have a smart splitter going like this. And there you go. It doesn't matter what's coming in because you already have the output. And maybe I'd probably do it on the inside so that, you know, the overflow can go out or whatever. Whatever. I don't know. But yeah, so that's the idea. And that's the plan for this whole area. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I think this has a lot of potential. And now that I've kind of got this solidified, I can start working on getting the trains going. And I've got to be honest, right? I have been communicating with another YouTuber about how to do some train stuff. And I think I've got a pretty good idea and I've got some plans for it. He may or may not do a video on my specific problem before I do, which is fine. That's what I hope for because then it will help me, right? But I'll leave a link to his channel in the description because he's the one that kind of inspired me on how to do a lot of this stuff. And like I said, I reached out to him directly about the problem I'm having with these spirals here. So I'll tag him either in the comments or in the description. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much. I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you guys think this is going to be as cool as I do because I'm really excited to kind of get this thing progressing and having it feel like a real main base. You know what I mean? So anyways, guys, with that out of the way, thank you all so much, and we'll see you in the next one.